All right, guys, today's episode is going to be all about the benefits of doing less work and getting better results with intentional training and programming. We'll be looking at different ways, various ways you can optimize your training to focus on quality over quantity, and how this can help you get towards your goals and be more successful with less burnout, injury, or issues as you go along that journey. So, the latest research and what we have experienced by working with our athletes is that really the ideal thing to do with your training is do the least amount of work as possible to drive adaptation. So as long as you are making adaptations, making positive changes towards your goal, the less work you can do and continue along that path is ideal. So what we tend to find is people think that more is the answer. This is very common. You see it in a lot of different types of methodologies, in CrossFit, in strength and conditioning programs that don't understand the adaptation principle or are not sure how to effectively apply it. So when you go into training and you go into your workouts and the idea is that you need to be able to do more, and that's the one thing you're tracking as indication of getting better, you are more likely to run into A, burnout, and B, overtraining, which can result definitely in injury and issues for either yourself or your athletes. So one thing we want to challenge you to do is start to look at your training intelligently in a way that is progressive and with a focus on recovery. So the importance of rest and recovery are arguably even more important than your training, right? So in training, to break it down, you are going to be doing movements and exercises that will, for lack of better terms, break down your body. So it's going to actually hurt your body in a way. And what's going to happen is your body's going to recover and come back stronger from that. So with that in mind, it's easy to start to think about how if you are driving that body too far, too deep, and not providing it with what it needs, adequate rest, sleep, recovery, nutrition, you're going to run into, you get too deep in that hole, and that's going to result in a performance decrease. So if you just want to talk about performance, but also injury. So going through your training and running into nagging injuries all the time. And we see this very commonly with our youth athletes. Typically they only spend an hour and a half to 3 hours a week with us. But outside of that, they are doing a lot between sport practices, multiple sports, club sports. Athletes can potentially be doing, 3 to 4 hours of strenuous exercise or movement a day. And then what we tend to find is most of them are sleeping very minimally, having a hard time going to bed, on their phones, on social media, staying up till 1 or 2 a.m. and then getting up before school. So they're getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And if you really look into it, it's pretty crazy. The risk for injury goes up by a percentile that you would not believe. I'd have to go in and look that up to look at it again, but I believe it's somewhere in the 30 to 40% range of a higher increase of injury if you're not getting enough sleep and nutrition. So if the ability to perform is important to you beyond just the training, you are definitely going to want to take a very serious approach to your recovery protocols and what you're doing to make sure you have a good sleep routine, you're eating enough food, and you're maximizing the work that you're doing in the gym. Now, that time I would suggest taking away from your training. So spend less time training and more time recovering, especially if you are someone that is hard charging 5-6 days a week. You could definitely probably make more progress by taking a day of training out a week and focusing on getting your body back in line and ready to go. So some tips for that, it would be have a developed training program or plan. Work with a coach that is very fluent with adaptation and the human body and physiology and how that works. Making sure your coach is spending time educating themselves on that is imperative if you're going to do training from them. Again, it's important that you have as much time for recovery as you do for training, because it's very common. You guys see it all the time. People are dealing with nagging injuries, get injured, or hop into something and go very extreme for a short amount of time, have something come up, an injury, or just can't hack it, and then get set back all the way back to base level ground zero. So having an intelligent training program, actually having a program for your recovery, or at least guidelines, daily goals that you're putting out there. Tracking your nutrition is going to be huge, especially I don't necessarily want to say that everyone needs to track their nutrition all of the time, but it is always very insightful every once in a while to track a week or two, see where you're at, and make modifications and changes based on the results, because you'd be pretty surprised if you actually went through and tracked your nutrition and how much sleep you're getting. So invest in any type of technology. I use the Whoop band, so I have a good idea of where my body's at each day. There's a lot of different ways to track that. If you're an adult, that's a great way to get started in doing that. You can download different apps to track your nutrition. And there's a lot of different tools out there now for you guys to use to get better at this. So moral of the story is that more training is not better. Better training is better. It makes a lot of sense when you actually think about it, but people get stuck in the idea that doing more and more and more all the time is going to be what drives them to the next level. So I want to make you guys aware of that. And especially if you're a youth athlete listening to this, or a parent of the youth athlete, making sure you're putting as much emphasis on the recovery side of things as you are the training and on the sport. Your athlete's going to get their best performances. They're going to stay healthy, and they're going to enjoy the sport much longer into a fuller capacity when you are focused on these things as well. And it is something that we most commonly seen overlooked or not even thought about at all. So I would encourage you guys to try that out. Send me some messages. Let me know what kind of different ways you implement this and work on it. But again, less is more in a lot of different ways. That's why when kids come in and train with us, we're in and out in 45 minutes to an hour. We're hitting all the buckets that need to be hit, and then they are allowed to roll out, recover, and given some advice on what to eat and what time to go to bed and whatnot. So this is one easy way, well, not easy, but an easy idea for you guys to implement to take your performance to the next level. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for a minute to listen to that. Again, we just see a lot of issues with it, and it's something that needs to be talked about, and people need to be educated on that recovery is number one, training is number two. We made it. Thanks for listening to the episode. If you have any further questions, please reach out via any social media channels or our website, and make sure to check out our on-site and online training options. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to the episode. If you have any further topics you'd like to discuss, let us know, and we'll make sure to cover them. Thank you.